Who's excited? Who's excited for a new video? Hey guys, it's Kylie and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to be bringing you a new video. If you haven't already watched my first video, I'll be sure to link that down below, so go give that a watch and also a thumbs up. It was all about my quarantine experience when I arrived in country in Singapore, and there is still currently a government mandated quarantine process in effect, so there is a ton of great information in that video if that's something that you're wondering about. But now that I've been in country a few weeks, I've had time to just gather my thoughts on some things, and I thought today would be a great time to talk about the 5 things about Singapore that I thought were going to be different than they actually are. So 1, we have language barrier. 2, we have prices. 3, we have cars. 4 is the culture, and 5 is pets. I'm going to be sure to timestamp these down below as well, so if there's anything that you would like to just skip forward to, that's fine. And here we go. For number 1, we have language barrier, and we were pleasantly surprised and excited to find out that there's not one. Everyone in Singapore, for the most part, speaks English, and it is the go-to language that people resort to when conversing with someone new. They might switch to another common language that they both have once they get to know that individual, but English is usually the first go-to language that people use when conversing with new individuals. We've met people that can speak up to 5 languages, 3 languages. It's a skill that I wish I had. People here are amazing when it comes to adapting to other cultures and speaking multiple languages, because it is what makes Singapore work so well, because so many cultures can come together to create this very influential and prosperous place. For number 2, we have prices. And before we moved to Singapore, we had so many individuals tell us, oh my gosh, everything in Singapore is so expensive. And while everything in Singapore is pretty expensive, there are also some things that we found that were cheaper than we expected. I talked about the hawker centers in my first video. You can go and get an entire huge meal for around $2 US, and it's a ton of food. So that was one thing that we were very shocked to find, that we could get food for relatively cheap if you go to the right places. Now for the expensive parts. Cars and housing are insanely expensive. A Honda Civic, for example, is around $100,000 car here in Singapore. Crazy expensive, but there is a reason for that. They only want a certain number of cars on the road because it is a small island, and they are working to keep emissions down, less people on the road, things like that. So while I do understand, it's insane how much cars cost here compared to the US. Another expensive item is housing. Housing is so expensive. You can expect to pay a few grand a month in rent. That was a huge shock, but it is something that you just adapt to. It's something everybody goes through here. Everyone said they were expensive. I don't think I realized how expensive. For number 3, we're going to be carrying on with cars. Even though cars are so expensive, I have seen more Rolls Royces in the last few weeks than I have seen in my entire life. There are so many nice cars here. It is nearly like a parade to just walk down the street. Ferrari, Rolls Royce, Lamborghini, another Rolls Royce. In the US, those cars are very rare, and when you see one, you know, you kind of, oh my goodness, but here it's just so commonplace. They park them on the curbs. It's their everyday driver, car parks, you name it. It gives us something to do. What do you want to do? Just drive around with your Rolls Royces. What? Only in Singapore. Number 4 is the culture. And I don't know if I really knew what to expect before I moved to Singapore regarding the culture here. I had never even been to Asia. I had never been to Singapore. We just moved sight unseen, which was exciting, but also scary and everything in between. However, I have been extremely surprised in a great way regarding the culture here. People that, you know, you might think you have absolutely nothing in common with in so many different aspects of life, different race, religion, sex, sexual orientation, all of the above. They will go so far out of their way to help you that it is just so welcoming, and it has made the transition that much easier, because no matter who you come across, whether you're complete opposites or exactly the same, everyone here just wants to go out of their way, even when they don't have to. Coming from the South in the US, you see a little bit of that, but it's even more so here. I mean, if you hung up the phone with a service operator and they forgot to tell you something, they will call you back just to tell you. Where in the US, I think, you know, you're used to waiting on the phone for 4 hours to get somebody that can't even help you, and then you're frustrated, and it's just been a really good surprise. There's something about the culture here that's just helpful, and people want to go out of their way, not because they have to, but because they can, to make somebody's life better. And I just think that is something, you know, we could all use a little bit more of. Just the entire community, expat, not expat, local, not local, everybody here has been so welcoming, and I am so appreciative. I really debated talking about number 5, and it is something that is a giant culture shock for me that I wasn't expecting. It has been one of the biggest adjustments for me, and that is pets. And the reason I was hesitant to speak on this topic is because a lot of the individuals that live in Singapore aren't necessarily as dog friendly as many people in the US are, due to religious or just cultural reasons. And I completely respect that. It has been difficult for me coming here with dogs, adapting into that culture, because I do respect that so much that the last thing I want to do is offend anybody or scare anybody or anything in between. So I am just fearful every time I take the dogs down that somebody is either going to be scared or offended if they jump towards them to lick them or anything like that, not aggressively. I'm coming into their culture with something different, and I need to be respectful of that. Not everybody in Singapore is not as welcoming towards dogs. We'll be on walks, and some people will say, hey, can I pet your dog? And you know, it kind of makes your heart jump, like, yes, you can, please pet my dog, they'd love it. And there are people here that own other dogs. I am absolutely obsessed with my puppies. I mean, they're both laying right here by me right now, and they always are all day. So I think coming from a culture where this is normal, maybe I'm a little obsessive, but it's fine. Mostly normal. That booty though. We let our dogs on the couch, and we let the dogs lick plates after we're done with the plates. Usually we are taking the necessary steps to, you know, get the dogs adjusted to the differences when being in public. And then of course ourselves, I've taken time to just reflect on that and really try to understand from their perspective as well. That concludes today's 5 things about Singapore that I thought would be different than they actually are. prior to moving here. If you could please like this video and subscribe to my channel, that would help tremendously. But it also keeps you notified for all of the amazing adventures that we have ahead. And I have so much fun content planned, so I can't wait to bring y'all along. And I will see y'all again in the next video. Bye. I got a pimple. Maskne? Mask, is that what they call it? That's gross, it's so gross. Also keeps you notified. Notified? It will keep you notified. Why do I keep saying notified? It's not a word.